All right, today we're jumping into the deep end. We're tackling what might be one of the most challenging, most misunderstood, and honestly, most explosive books in all of philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And let me tell you, Nietzsche does not ease you in. Right from the get-go, he hits you with this absolutely radical idea. It's the heart of the entire book. He's not just floating a new thought here. No, he's basically declaring a brand new purpose for all of humanity. So you gotta ask, what on earth is he talking about? So to get to the bottom of this Übermensch idea, we first need to meet the guy who brings us the message. His name is Zarathustra, and he's this solitary figure who's just spent 10 long years up in the mountains, basically just gathering wisdom. And now, now he feels like he has to share it with the world. I mean, can you imagine that? A full decade, alone, in a cave, just thinking. His only companions are the sun, his eagle, and his serpent. He's gotten to a point where he is just absolutely overflowing with his own insights. And you can really feel the urgency in his words, right? This isn't just something he wants to do, it's a necessity. He feels this deep compulsion to give it all away. He even compares himself to the sun, which has to set and give its light away. In the same way, Zarathustra feels he has to go under, to descend and pour out his wisdom to humanity. But here's the thing. When he finally gets down to the first town, he doesn't find a crowd of eager students waiting for him. Nope, he finds a world that's completely lost its way. You have to remember, Nietzsche's writing this in the late 1800s, and he's seeing all the traditional moral and spiritual pillars, the things that held society together for centuries, just crumbling into dust. And this leads us to probably Nietzsche's most famous and most misunderstood line. But it is so important to get this right. This is not some triumphant, yay, we're all atheists now. It's a diagnosis. Zarathustra is basically saying the entire foundation of meaning for Western civilization has eroded, and it's left behind this terrifying spiritual vacuum. Without that shared purpose, humanity is just adrift. So the big question becomes, what's going to fill that void? Okay, so before Zarathustra gives us his solution, he first paints this really dire picture. It's a warning. He shows us the horrifying future that's waiting for us if we fail to fill that vacuum with something truly meaningful. And this is it. This is Nietzsche's absolute nightmare scenario. It's not a world filled with evil villains. It's a world of just profound mediocrity. A world where our highest ambition as human beings has shrunk down to just being comfortable. See, the last man aren't bad people. They're just small. They've engineered a life with no risk, no struggle, no great passion. Their happiness is this tiny, self-satisfied little bubble, and it's propped up by minor pleasures, what Nietzsche calls a little poison now and then to just get through the day. Think of it as mindless distraction. And to him, this isn't just sad, it's contemptible. And this quote just illustrates the tragedy so perfectly. The last man has become so safe, so comfortable, that the big ideas that drove humanity forward, things like creation, longing, love, they've become totally incomprehensible to him. He looks up at a star and he feels nothing. He just blinks. The capacity for awe is gone. So the question is, how do we avoid this pathetic fate? How do we find a purpose that's big enough to stop us from shrinking into these last men? Well, Nietzsche gives us this really powerful metaphor for the kind of spiritual transformation that's needed. He talks about this metamorphosis of the human spirit. And the first big challenge? You have to go out and battle a great dragon. Now, this dragon isn't a literal monster. It represents the entire weight of tradition, history, and morality, all those external values that have been forced on us from the outside. I mean, think about it. Every rule, every commandment, every single societal expectation you've ever been told, every thou shalt and thou shalt not. Nietzsche says these are like thousands of golden scales on the dragon, glittering with the authority of history, all of them telling you how you're supposed to live. Because to create something new, you first have to be free to create. So the spirit has to become a lion, a destroyer. The lion's job is to roar a sacred no to the dragon's thou shalt. This act of destruction creates a kind of clearing. It creates freedom. The lion doesn't build anything new just yet, but it wins the right to say, I will. And that paves the way for what comes next. Okay, so after the lion has done its work and destroyed the old values, we're left standing in that vacuum that Zarathustra talked about. And it's right here, in this empty space, that he presents his alternative, his grand vision for what humanity could become. So here it is. This is the ultimate fork in the road for humanity. It's a choice. Do we take the easy path toward comfortable, meaningless oblivion? Or do we choose the much harder path of self-overcoming and creating our own new meaning? And this is where the Übermensch, or Overman, comes in. Let's be really clear. This is not some kind of superhero or the next step in biological evolution. It's a spiritual goal. The Overman is the kind of person who was strong enough to stand in that empty space left by the death of God, and instead of just collapsing in fear, actually creates their own values. They become a source of meaning. And this really is the heart of it. The Overman finds purpose right here in this life, on this planet. Zarathustra is begging us, remain faithful to the earth. He calls any philosophy that promises some reward in an afterlife or beyond a poison. For him, the whole point is to find and create our purpose right here, to become the meaning of the earth. But Zarathustra doesn't just leave us with this lofty goal. He gives us one final, absolutely mind-bending thought experiment. It's like a test to see if we're even on the right path. So I want you to just take a second and really think about this. Imagine a demon appears and tells you that this life you're living right now, you're going to have to live it again and again, innumerable times more. Every single moment, the joy, the pain, the boredom, the triumphs, your most embarrassing mistakes, all of it, repeated in the exact same order forever. This idea is called eternal recurrence. And for Nietzsche, your reaction to it reveals everything about you. Would you be crushed by that thought? Or could you greet it with joy? Could you shout, yes, again? To be able to do that, that's the ultimate affirmation of life. That is the feeling of the Overman, someone who truly loves their fate, no matter what. And so, Zarathustra's challenge echoes down from his mountain right to us, here and now. He lays out the two paths so clearly, the blinking, trivial comfort of the last man, or the difficult, creative, life-affirming journey toward the Overman. He doesn't give us the answer. He just leaves us with the question. Which path are we on?